So I left off here, talking about this piece here. So we have, maybe I can zoom in on this a little bit. It's kind of hard to see. So anyway, all the people are wearing animal skins, and specifically leopard skins. Apparently, whoever made this believed that those were some of the first clothing that people wore, which is sort of correct, but maybe not so much on the leopard skin front. So human faces appear among the rocks that are here. They're just kind of randomly placed within the rocks. There are many species of animals in the landscape featured here, just kind of representing the world and all of its fauna. And Sultan Muhammad made the figures animals, trees, rocks, and sky with a very delicate touch. And that sense of lightness is heightened because of the placement on the page. It's just kind of floating slightly off to the left. It's not anchored to the bottom or anything. It's just kind of floating in the middle of the page, slightly off to the left, with this kind of speckled gold background. And then we have one more piece that we're going to talk about. The Baptistere de Saint Louis. So this was made by, I believe, Muhammad ibn al-Zayn. So it's from Egypt, 1300, brass inlaid with gold and silver. It's in the Louvre in Paris right now. And this is another example. This is an example of Islamic metalwork. And so this brass basin is inlaid with gold and silver, and it's actually signed 6 times by the Mamluk artist Muhammad ibn al-Zayn. The basin was used for washing hands at official ceremonies. Some scholars think that a court official named Salar ordered the basin as a gift for his sultan, but no one really knows for sure who commissioned this piece. The central band depicts a Mamluk hunter or hunters and some Mongol enemies as well. Running animals fill the friezes above and below, or the registers here, and I think even around the rim here. Stylized vegetal forms of inlaid silver fill the background. So it's kind of vegetal type forms that are filling in every little bit of background. So it's very detailed. Figures and animals also decorate the inside and the underside of the basin, which has long been known as the Baptistere de Saint Louis. The association with the famous French king, King Louis, is a myth, however. Louis had actually died before this piece was made. The Baptistere basin was taken to France long ago and was used to baptize the newborns in the French royal family as early as the 17th century, but not early enough to have been used by the French king, Louis. So we'll talk about Christian patronage of Islamic art with this piece. There are some examples of Christian patronage in Islamic art, and this canteen is an example of that. So during the 11th through the 13th century, many Christians traveled to Islamic lands. They were either crusaders or pilgrims, and many Christians returned home with mementos from their trips to the Islamic territories. And some wealthy patrons were able to commission some very impressive works. Many were just basic pieces from Islam that they brought back to Europe, but some were actually of higher quality, and this one is actually an example of a higher quality commissioned piece that was made by an Islamic artist, by a Christian patron or donor. So this brass canteen is inlaid with silver. It's decorated with scenes of the life of Jesus, and it's thought to be the work of a 13th century metalsmith in the employ of a Christian patron. So they think it's an Islamic metalsmith that made this. It's specifically a Ayyubid metalsmith. Not quite sure where Ayyubid means exactly off the top of my head, but obviously it's an Islamic metalsmith. The canteen is a luxurious version of the pilgrim flasks that Christian visitors to the Holy Land often carried back to Europe. So this was kind of a common form, the flask, to bring that home to Europe from Islam territories. But this one's really high quality piece. 4 inscriptions in Arabic promise eternal glory, secure life, perfect prosperity, increasing luck to the owner of the canteen. And the canteen's owner must have been a Christian due to the Christian subject from the New Testament. The Madonna and the infant Jesus appear enthroned in the central medallion. So we have the Madonna and Jesus as a baby. And the 3 panels around it, I believe, like here, 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 depict different events from the Gospels. And they fill, that band that goes around the medallion. And the narrative unfolds in kind of a counterclockwise fashion. So this way, because Arabic is actually read from right to left. So that's probably why it doesn't go clockwise, is what they're thinking. Beginning with the Nativity at around 2 o'clock. So I believe right here. And then counting with the presentation in the temple at 10 o'clock. Should be here. And Jesus' entry into Jerusalem at 6 o'clock. And then the scenes, they were chosen because the patron had visited these locales, more than likely. Most scholars believe that the Muslim artist used a Syrian Christian manuscript as a source of the canteen's Christian iconography. The rest of the decoration of this canteen is pretty typical of Islamic art made under Muslim Christian patronage. This canteen is a testimony to the artistic interaction between the Christians and the Muslims in the 13th century, specifically in Syria, since this piece is from Syria. So, and that's it for the lecture videos this week.